The Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection drama just won't stop. That's right, players are so upset that Sony is offering refunds for the game. That's right, full refunds on PlayStation. Keep in mind that almost never happens. On the one hand, it's obviously great that fans have a way to refund this purchase, but on the other hand, it shows how incomplete this product is. Sony almost never offers refunds.
So that was a lie.
Then on top of that, new bugs and glitches are getting discovered every day for this collection, but also even the bonus content is missing some stuff. Wait a minute, is that the wrong Toasty? No, like straight up, that's the wrong Toasty for a different game. How'd they get that wrong? It's not a big deal, but it's just funny how that's incorrect too. Yeah, today's video is covering all the other details I missed in my original video, mainly because they're brand new occurrences. It's worth noting developers are slowly fixing the game and adding core features that were promised in the trailer, which means they should be here in the next couple of months, hopefully. Why can't games be complete on release anymore? And that's complete with a K, by the way. Leave a like down below if you prefer complete games instead of waiting months for them to work properly. Let's try and get today's video to 2,000 likes, that way the 3D era collection launches in a finished state. That's right, because you know it's coming and likely by the same developers. In fact, they've stated on the record they want to make that collection, and I would like that too, but only if the game functions properly on day one, with all the features promised in the trailers and marketing. Real quick everyone, all jokes aside, developers have been getting hate mail and threats from people. That's never okay. Everyone watching my channel knows I don't support that kind of stuff. If you're disappointed with the Legacy Collection like I am, then post your critiques online and refund the game if you can, then go about your day. Then on the flip side, please stop defending this game no matter what. I hopped on Facebook earlier about the refund, and the comments are filled with people upset that the refund is even an option. How do you get mad at a refund? People are clearly upset with the product. They were promised specific things in the marketing, and that was not there on day one, which means that they deserve a refund in my opinion. Alright everyone, with that all being said, it's about time to dive into the details. So for anyone new to this channel, I'm trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026. So let's do it together. Smash that red button and ring that bell so you never miss any future videos. Without any further ado, let's begin. First up, let's talk about PlayStation offering refunds to people who bought the game. As mentioned earlier, that almost never happens. You rarely ever see PlayStation offering refunds for games. Steam does that within the first 24 hours, but other games almost never get this option. For example, a quick personal story with me, I purchased Little Nightmares 3 to play with my girlfriend, and it clearly looks like 2-player in all of the trailers and promotional stuff. But after buying the game, it turns out only online co-op is possible. That's right, you can't play with your buddy on the couch, or in my case, my girlfriend, which left me upset, and I can't refund the game because PlayStation doesn't offer that. So Mortal Kombat Legacy offering a refund is crazy. That's a big deal. It pretty much confirms what I and other critics have been saying about the game. It's simply not the product that was promised, which means you're entitled to a refund. Like mentioned earlier, even though developers have promised to fix many of these bugs and glitches and promising to add features like playing with your friends instead of against random people online, which is currently all you can do if the online even works. On some consoles, the online's not even functioning well whatsoever. For example, on Nintendo Switch, I don't think MK4 can even go online, even though it's supposed to be able to. So that's of course another big issue. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think PlayStation is right to offer a refund for the Legacy Collection? I personally think it's a great idea. And in fact, I'll go a step further and say that every single game should have a 24-hour refund period similar to what Steam does. Or maybe they could base it around how much you've played of the game. I barely played Little Nightmares 3 and realized I can't play it with my girlfriend, so in my opinion, I should be allowed to return that game. Anyways, next up, let's talk about bonus content. For Mortal Kombat Legacy, some things are just incorrect. For example, smoke is not included for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. That's right, for each character, you can check which games they appear in, get a little summary, and you see their sprites as well. But sometimes the sprites are incorrect, like Cyber Smoke does not have his effects for some reason. The smoke effects, I mean. Human Smoke does have them, but Cyber Smoke does not for some reason. present in this character viewer. Then for certain games like UMK3, smoke does not even appear at all apparently, which is weird. Then for Mortal Kombat 4, you don't get Goro, but turns out that was a joke post because Goro's only in the home console version of Mortal Kombat 4. I'm not entirely sure why that should matter, but one of the developers themselves said we're focusing on the arcade versions of these games, so that's why Goro's character model is not featured in Mortal Kombat 4 in the character menu thingy, which I suppose does make sense, but why is smoke not included for UMK3? Why are the effects missing for Cyber Smoke? That's also weird. Little mistakes like this are odd to me, as in the entire point of this feature is to highlight characters across all the games, right, that they're featured in? So how did mistakes this obvious happen? Definitely a big deal for me personally. I know many watching will not care about this, but to me, it's a weird oversight that bothers me a bit. Then, like mentioned earlier, it's the wrong Toasty guy too, which is funny. He's from the wrong game here. Real quick, I want to be positive and mention some good things happening. For PC, the online has been adjusted and some fixes have been made to it. I think the input delay's been addressed too. Some weird audio issues have also been addressed and corrected. So that's fantastic, and the game developers have stated these patches will happen for the console versions as well in the next week or so, which is fantastic, but also, why is it taking so long? Like seriously, I've always found it weird when smaller companies have an issue getting things out right away, because I feel like it should be quicker. Now that said, I suppose beggars can't be choosers. It's getting fixed, so that's fantastic, and the developers are being very transparent on Twitter, which is fantastic. If you follow Digital Eclipse, you can get live updates to the game fixes and all that stuff. Like for instance, the Mortal Kombat 4 bug where players can just run past each other, that's been corrected along with some other big bugs and glitches. It's worth mentioning the PS5 has the worst input delay out of all the games. Some say it feels unplayable, like borderline impossible to do things you want to do in the game, like combos and setups or just reacting in time to attacks. Apparently for some players it really is that bad, which might be one of the main reasons the refund is actually happening, on top of the weird online issues too. And what's also confusing is the Switch 2 has the best version of the game performance wise, which is funny because that console technically has lower specs than the PS5 and of course PC as well, which means theoretically it should perform the worst with the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, but no, apparently it's performing the best and running the best. And there's several factors why that could be happening. Maybe developers worked mostly on that version of the game because their emulator works better on the Switch 2. However, quick friendly reminder that the original Switch has terrible problems and can't even play Mortal Kombat 4 online for some reason. I wanted to mention that in case anybody is casually listening and heard Switch 2 is performing well and thought, oh, the Switch is performing great. No, just the Switch 2, not the original Switch, just the new one that's overpriced and the game costs $10 more too for some dumb reason. Alright everyone, I wanted to respond to the most popular comment on my previous video about the Mortal Kombat Legacy drama, because lots of you were bringing up the difficulty setting in older arcade Mortal Kombat games and how the players could not change the difficulty, but the arcade workers could. So in other words, you had to program the game difficulty yourself, dig into the game code, and then change the setting that way, which is how I did believe the situation worked. I didn't go into too full of detail, but the point was players back in the day could not change the setting, but now you can with the Legacy Collection. However, according to players, even if you set the AI to easy, right, the simplest difficulty possible, they're still really cheap and very tough to beat because they read your inputs and react really quickly. And I know some will argue that's how the games were at the arcades. I understand that. However, I would argue that when you change the setting to easy, the AI should not still be crazy hard. Maybe that's just me. Then on top of that, back in the arcade day, people complained about the AI being really cheap and reading your inputs, so that's one more reason why they should not be this cheap when you lower the difficulty setting. Alright, so I just wanted to elaborate my stance on that whole situation and clarify what I was trying to get across. I did think that programmers could change the difficulty, but just not the average player. Alright everyone, that's about it for the update in today's video, but to end things, I wanted to show you the Facebook replies and how much people are shilling for this game despite the obvious complaints about it. This re-release was meant for us 80s and 90s babies, not the newer generation. Okay, so gatekeeping right away. I probably play Mortal Kombat more than you do, but because I was born in 93, I don't get to complain? Okay buddy. We never had online features back then in our generation because we didn't rely on the internet. Good for you, buddy. For them to re-release those games and have online features on them is a big W for our generation, but the online doesn't work, dude. That's the issue. It was marketed in the trailers and a big selling point. Even older players like yourself with YouTube channels have said they looked forward to the online aspect the most, and it does not work. You can't even play with friends, but even if you do play with random people, it's buggy and wonky with sound glitches and stuff. That's a big deal and worth complaining about. Be honest, King Loco, did you actually buy the game or are you just blindly defending it? Could you imagine how hard we would have been laughed at if we asked the arcade worker for our quarters back because the game was too hard? Yeah, on default settings it's wrong to complain, but if you change it to easy, I think the AI should be, I don't know, easy like the name implies. Again, I understand the games have always been hard, so this is accurate to the original product, but also if you're gonna include the option to change the difficulty, then actually change the difficulty. I don't think that's too much to ask. I had the original on the Genesis. That's not the original, but okay. I knew exactly what I was buying. This game isn't for the people who think graphics are everything. What are you even talking about? Who said that? It's for us 80s kids who played it back in '93, who would type in the blood cheat every time we played it. ABCBABA on the MK Genesis. No, you're wrong actually. This is the arcade versions. That's right. These games, especially the ones with online features, are literally the arcade versions, not the Genesis one that you're talking about. You're wrong from the word go while trying to sound elitist and pompous. Oh my goodness, Facebook is such a joke. It's funny though, I've always heard that Facebook is filled with boomers who don't exist in the modern day and can't comprehend the regular average opinion when you go online. But man, boy howdy does this confirm it. Everyone here is either complaining about the wrong issue or just not understanding what refunds are actually about with this game. And once again, the fact people are even mad about a refund being an option is still wild to me. It's just an option to get your money back if you don't like the product. That should be bare minimum for every video game, even if it's bought digitally. That should be bare minimum. If you agree, then leave a like down below, because that's about it for today's video. So if you like what you saw, please subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any future videos. Like mentioned earlier, we're trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026, and I think we can do it. So make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.